Thank you, Mr. Shijwadi. This is it's a privilege to be here, and I am happy to see young people. I'm happy to see young faces here. I'm happy that everybody, people representing every stage of my life is present here. I saw a little boy just now who would not be older than 2. Another one who is not older than 10 had come to greet me. I can see people in their teenage years among you. I want to thank the convener of the Organized Youth Leadership Development Told Network. I want to thank the organizers, his team, for putting this together. It may look like a drop in an ocean, but it's very significant. I tell you, if you take a kobo out of ₦1,000,000, you can't call it ₦1,000,000 anymore. So please, the convener and the organizers of Told Network, don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. When I told my children that I was coming to Isolu, they said, where are you going there? I was quick to say that, do you remember the Told Network shirt your daddy likes to wear? And they were able to connect quickly with the event. So it was easy for me to say, that's where I'm going to. Please don't give up. Don't be discouraged. Your drop of water in the ocean is already significant. You may not see it yet, but it is significant. I will not be able to continue if I don't respect or give honor to the elderly ones among us. Our Mommy Eunice, I'm happy to see you here. For me, she is an example of a true leader. I spoke with her in just about 30 seconds, and I was quick to know that she's sitting here because of her children. That's a leader. One of the things we'll talk about today is selflessness. She has left her time and the things she needs to do to come here for her children. Your being here and everybody's being here will not be in vain. In Jesus' name. We did not pray when we started this program, or at least when I came in. So I would like us to be on our feet and just say a brief word of prayers. Thank you, Father, for the privilege to be here. Thank you for bringing those of us that traveled from a distance down here safely. Thank you for the organizers and the resources you made available to put this program together. We ask that you touch just one soul here, because we know that if you touch one soul, 1,000, 2,000, tens of thousands will be touched at the long run. We ask that you minister to people here today. We ask that you teach people here today. And we ask that you take all the glory here today. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Please, you may take your seat. I'm also standing here on the inspiration of somebody dear to each and every one of us. He was my husband, and like your convener had said, he was passionate about Told Network. When he started attending Told Network, when he started attending the Told boot camp, I didn't understand why he would leave us at Mopa and travel to Egbe to attend a program where, if you ask me then, I'll just say a couple of young guys just put themselves together and want to say something. But he went and he came back and he told me precisely what he went for. And gradually, I fell in love with Told Network. My husband, late Dr. Busayo Emmanuel, was a leader in the true sense of it. Quite a number of you may have met him. I remember out of frustration one day I said, why would you ignore our family and take other people's responsibility on yourself? He said, and I have never forgotten it, that my family have me, but these people whose responsibility I have taken do not have anybody. It kept me quiet, and it at least reduced the pressure I put on him as his wife to pay attention to himself. He was a selfless man. I'd like us to honor him as well as many other leaders, true leaders who have passed, by being on our feet and observing a minute silence in their honor. May the soul of late Dr. Busayo Agbana and the soul of other faithful leaders rest in peace with the Lord. Please sit down. Pardon me if I have to talk about him throughout this presentation, because some of us who have met him will testify that most of what we'll be talking about here today is centered around him. Can I have my third slide, please? Okay, we're not working with the projector. All right. Who is a leader, and what is leadership? John Maxwell is a leading author in leadership, and he has defined a leader as that individual who has genuine and willingness and a true commitment to direct others to achieve a vision, a goal, through positive influence. I said John Maxwell, a renowned author in leadership, has defined a leader as that individual who has a genuine willingness and a true commitment to lead others to achieve a common vision and goals through positive influence. A very important term for me in that definition, or a very important word for me in that definition, is influence. The phrase, a positive influence, gives us a direction in this meeting today. This goes to mean that we have leaders who are whose influences are not positive. If you go to quite some schools in Nigeria today, you would come across people of different walks of life, children, adolescents, who stand for cultism, fraud, and so many other social vices. And you will be surprised to see that they have proteges. They have people that follow them. They attract a set of people, and those people see them as leaders. Leaders who have negative vices are not the leaders, are not the kind of leaders we'll be talking about here today. We're talking about those individuals who have positive influence on individuals, on their followers. When we talk about positive influence, we talk about influences that can be reckoned within the society. Influences that you can share freely, publicly. Influences that you can share proudly. Yoruba will say, "Alefi yangan." Those are the kind of influences we will talk about here in leadership. Leadership in this context is the act of being willing and committed to direct others to achieve a common vision and goals, still through positive influence. In other words, a leader is doing something. And so I become worried when I see some of us look at maybe a a political a political leader or somebody who has political influence, and then we just sit down and we just say, leader, my leader, sir, my leader, sir. The question I'm quick to ask in my mind is, what influence does he have or she has on you? You are saying my leader, my leader, my leader. Is it that 5,000 naira you want him to bring out from his pocket to give you because he has come he has come home in a time as this? Or are there values that are long lasting that he's impacting in you and you want to tap? What are your visions actually? Now, when we talk about vision, vision is one of the things we'll still discuss as we carry on this program. Please let me know my timing. Let me know when I'm running. What goals do you have for yourself? Now, as young men and women, I want to call us all young men and women here. It's definitely out of place where when we wake up every day and do not seem to have a sense of direction. In other words, it's not appropriate that you wake up in the morning and, okay, what will I eat this morning? I'm going to eat, maybe I'll eat rice, or I'll eat eba, or I'll warm the amala I ate last night. And then what is up for the day? Nothing. Okay, I will wait for Aderike, who is going to come, and then we'll go and hang out. Then you find our mothers, our fathers looking for us. The plates I asked you to wash, I shouldn't be telling you again. And this is a 14-year-old already who is posing as an adult. I always tell my children, I say, if you run from household chores, you are running away from leadership. The simple knowledge that I should not be told to keep my environment clean, my room, my plates, everything, to keep them clean and prepare for the day. That simple knowledge is an act of leadership on its own. So it's not until you have a microphone in your hand, like I do, that you become a leader. Now I want you to look at yourself and tell yourself, I am a leader. Please say it again. I am a leader. Now that you have said you are a leader, what do you have to offer your followers? When I tell you leadership is not a function of your age, a 15-year-old can do better than a 45-year-old, depending on so many factors. His or her exposure, the lessons they have learned and have put to use. The lessons they have learned and have put to use. Seem to be running away from my slides. But with the faces of people I see here, I need to say these things. That singular act of planning your day before that day begins is leadership. And I tell you, leaders, they say, are born. Some, they say, are made. But I want to tell you that whether you are born or you are made, you need to grow your leadership skills. And you can't grow your leadership skills if you don't put them to work. You can't grow your leadership skills if you don't put them to work. So if you have ever learned that you should plan your day, you should begin to put that to work by actually planning your day. Here on my slide, I have the definition of um, another author of leadership. He's somebody well known to some of us. In fact, he's from Kogi State. His name is Pastor Sam Adeyemi. And he sees a leader as one who has the influence and ability to influence other people to achieve a goal. He has that influence and he has that ability to influence other people to achieve a goal. Two things are common with the two definitions I have given, and it is influence. In other words, influence is very important in it's temporary. It's very key in leadership. When you talk about influences that will stand the test of time, then you must begin to talk about structures and values. Structures and values that themselves have stood the test of time. Some of those values we will look at, we will mention them in the course of our delivery. Among many other definitions of leadership, we will identify with the ones provided above to give this lecture. We will say that leadership is the willingness and commitment that influence and the ability to influence people to achieve a goal. We're saying here that a leader must have that commitment. He must have that influence. He must be able to make that influence. And above all, he must be willing to influence the people or his followers, as the case may be. He must be willing to influence his followers, as the case may be. Ekrabosa. I do not have that honor, but I'll give this time out to the convener to properly welcome and introduce our KBSC.
Thank you so much, Ma. I think our KBSC student just walked into the hall like this. We all have to be upstanding as we welcome our humble KBSC to our midst. As we shout, KBSC o, Kade pẹ́ lórí o, kí bàtà pẹ́ lẹ́sẹ̀ o, kí rúkẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ́ lọ́wọ́ o. Thank you so much, Daddy, for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Daddy, for honoring this invitation. It's an encouragement to some of us. What is magnetic leadership? The convener tried to talk about what a magnet really is. And he brought quite some young chaps who have talked about magnets. Now, when you talk about a magnetic substance, to be magnetic is to develop the capability to attract potential leaders. We're talking about being magnetic as a leader. And we are saying here that it is the capability to attract potential leaders with the appropriate properties. The young little boy said that a, a magnet will always draw close to iron. In other words, if we put something else, maybe plastic or rubber, we may not get that effect. So there are certain properties that we need to have as individuals, as leaders, that will make us magnetic, that will attract people to us. The convener pointed out rightly that as individuals, as a leader, we have a vision, we have a goal. And he went on to say that we need people to be able to achieve these goals. That is very correct. And I would just add to what he has said that while you use people to achieve your goal, a magnetic leader will train those people to become leaders themselves. I know our daddies and mummies here would not want to have a child who at the age of, let's say, 25 is still looking for the mommy to come and feed him. 25 is far away. 8-year-old. They've started teaching him or her how to eat, how to feed himself from birth. Or let's say from 7 months old. And at the age of 6 years, you still have to sit him down to feed him, fetch the food from the plate and put him in his mouth, put it in his mouth. You know you know already that that is not appropriate. In the same vein, while achieving his goals, a magnetic leader I don't want to use that word use because it's not about using you. It's about developing, harnessing. Thank you for that word. It's about harnessing my ability with your ability, which most of the times appear as a potential. What is a potential? Thing that is in you that sometimes you yourself do not even know. I was in conversation with a friend recently, and he said, Umi, you underestimate yourself. And I was shocked at that statement because I didn't expect to hear that I underestimate myself at this point in my life. But that means somebody has seen something in me that I have not come across in myself. And that's why I see seated here doctors tomorrow, medical doctors tomorrow. I see seated here architects tomorrow. I see seated here lawyers tomorrow. I see seated here administrators tomorrow. I don't want to use the word politicians because we seem to have bastardized that word in this part of the divide. Someone called me yesterday, and who is this person? He was one of the pioneer medical students of now Prince Abubakar Audu University. Of course, he was my he was in my husband's department. I didn't find any reason why I should make that my business. But shortly before my husband passed, I noticed, of course, I was with his phones towards the end of his life most of the time. I directed his calls, text messages, and all that. I noticed this particular person was always sending, hello, sir. Good day, sir. Hello, sir. I'm just greeting you. Hello, sir. So I asked my husband, I said, this person greeting you, greeting you, greeting you, apparently wants something. Who is he? And he said he is one of the pioneer medical students of the Prince Abubakar Audio University. And as at that time was in his 500 level in another school. Apparently, he came out of a family where he can't afford even, the family cannot afford his education. So he's relying on the support of people here and there, one of which was my husband. And there and then I realized that it is also very tasking to be a follower. You have to be determined to follow. It's so unfortunate that our view of leadership in this time has been skewed. Many of us see leaders as somebody we can run to collect money. Ah, he's our leader. He has to give us. He has to give us. He has to give us. This boy I'm talking about moved from his 100 level as a medical student to his 200 level to his 300 level. As I speak with you, he's in his final year as a medical student. He lived solely, totally on the support of people who are willing to give him 1,000 naira today, 2,000 naira tomorrow, 3,000 naira next tomorrow. And I keep asking myself, if this boy is not determined by himself to use this little support he's getting productively, will the support continue to come? Will it last? We're passing by we're going to church on Sunday, and my son said, look at that boy, those guys on the bike. The clothes they are wearing, the clothes each of them is wearing is worth 30,000 naira from head to toe. This is a very young boy. And I was sad in my heart because I was seeing already that priorities are being misplaced. Priorities are being misplaced. So, as a follower who is also a potential leader, please always remember that when we talk about people following a leader, they are not just following, they are coming with a leader because that leader is training them. It's taking them through a period where they will learn and also become a leader themselves. The only important thing is that such a leader needs to attract them and give them the right things they need to learn. We are trying to define magnetic leadership and who a magnetic leader is. We're saying that a magnetic leader is a positive influencer. A magnetic leader is who? A positive influencer. That individual that is making you do the right thing, that is encouraging you to do the right thing, whose action is giving you the impression and the motivation and the inspiration to do the right thing. The magnetic leader is goal-oriented. I mentioned that it's so out of place for us to wake up in the morning and all we are doing is waiting for the day to end. How many of us have set goals for 2024? There's something you want to achieve within the first 1 month of 2024. There's something you want to achieve by the end of December 2024. I told my children recently, I said, there's this student, former student of mine, who has become a friend now. He told me one day that when he was getting into 100 level as a student, he told himself that by the day he will be graduating, he wants to have 1,000,000 naira in his account. And I asked him, did you achieve it? He said, yes. I was shocked. He was my student. But I remember very closely that in the class, if your biro stops writing, Tosin has one to sell to you. In the class, you have come to class and you did not come with your full scarf for test. Tosin has one to sell to you. You are registering. He has a camera, a handy one, and a printer, and a small stand behind the class where he will quickly take your passport photograph and he will print it and give you your passport for money. For all the assignments, how many of you have studied mass communication, or you know somebody that studied mass communication in the university? The hallmark of mass communication is assignment and production. For all the assignments, Tosin is available to type for you and collect money. For all the productions, Tosin is available to do your graphic designs, he's available to do your editing. As a student, as his teacher one day, I needed to go to town and I didn't want to drive. And I said, I wish somebody can drive me. And he said he can drive. I said, you can drive? He said, yes. Okay, let's go. On our way, he told me how he will wake up 7 a.m., go to the bakery close to his house, take bread in the bakery car and deliver to and supply to shops before coming to school. And I said, oh, it was then I realized that he does a lot of businesses, including storage. Right now, he's teaching me how to do storage business. Storage business, you buy foodstuffs when they are cheap, preserve them properly, and sell them when they're expensive. At the end of the day, he made his 1 million. Where I'm going into is that he set a goal for himself. He pursued that goal. In the process of pursuing it, he had to learn from people who already were in those areas. And he was humble enough to learn properly. Many of us are not humble enough to learn properly because we are in a hurry. Leadership is a process. It's a process that you begin and you follow through. You don't jump it. You don't jump it. A child cannot grow from age 1 to age 5. Am I correct? You went to visit your aunt and you met her daughter who is 2 years old. And this time next year, you are going to visit that aunt. Are you expecting to see a 5-year-old? No, it's a process. Unfortunately, many of us are in a hurry to achieve so many things without going through the process. You see somebody riding a car, and just because you have suddenly gotten a job and um, the person riding a car has a job, you also want to have a car because you have a job. No, time. Somebody said that you can't get 9 people pregnant in 1 month and have a child. It still has to go the development process. We're talking about magnetic leadership, and we say a magnetic leader is goal oriented. They communicate in clear terms. Magnetic leader will tell you clearly because he already understands. He has taken time to study what he's saying and doing. In some in some situations, he also needs to study, to learn, unlearn, and relearn. It takes his time to do all of that so that he can be available to his followers appropriately and lead them appropriately. They are very good communicators. They would have you know what you need to know as their follower frequently and at the right time. In the most assertive way, a magnetic leader will say what he sees as the right thing, even when it is not popular. That's not very trendy. That's not very common in our generation today. Many times we want to go with the tide. We want to say what people want to hear, even when it is the wrong thing, even when it is not the most appropriate thing. Magnetic leadership is tasking. 10 more minutes. Me, that's it. Let's run quickly at the core of magnetic leadership. These are the central elements or the traits of magnetic leadership that draws followership to himself. We have identified 7 of them here. That's not to say there are only 7. They are not only 7. There are more. But we have identified 7 of them. And one is authenticity. Authenticity. A magnetic leader is genuine. He is himself. He is himself. He's not trying to be anybody else. He's not trying to be anybody else. I shouldn't come here as a leader and start telling you who I'm not because I want you to follow me. No. And I want you to understand very quickly that most of these traits, in fact, all of these traits are things that we need to put to use. Some of us have them as innate abilities. Some of us have to learn them. But whether you learn them or you have them as innate abilities, you must use them. That's why you will hear, don't call this person there. If you call him, he will come and tell you the truth as it is. It has become a part of that individual. A magnetic leader is authentic. He knows his strengths and he builds on it. He knows his weaknesses and he works on it. He knows his limits and he is true first to himself and then to his followers. How many of you have been in a class where you ask your teacher a question and the teacher will tell you, I don't have an answer to your question right now, but I'll get back to you. That's the hallmark of a true leader. He's not trying to mask anything. He's not trying to be who he's not. He's authentic. A true leader will communicate strongly. We are talking about the core. That is the values, the very important things that makes you and I a magnetic leader. 1, we said he is authentic. 2, we are saying he's a strong communicator. He speaks from his heart. He speaks from his heart. I'm not saying you are beautiful because I want you to like me. I'm saying you are beautiful because I see in you the beauty that is in you. Of course, somebody else might come and say, you are ugly. He is a strong communicator. He has strong abilities to communicate. A magnetic leader will communicate with empathy. You find somebody who is already depressed and is depressed because he feels that he has let his family down. That is not the best time to tell that person that you have let your family down. It's obvious the person has done that. In other words, your communication as a magnetic leader, as a leader, must be one that has grace. The Bible says it, that we should let the words of our mouth be full of grace. Of course, that doesn't mean you should lie. One of my teachers once said that it's a beautiful way to tell somebody to go to hell, and he will be going to hell smiling. He must have strong communication skills with a lot of empathy. Remember, he's supposed to be authentic in the middle of this communication and should speak the truth at the appropriate time. Now, I've said he must speak the truth at the appropriate time because there's a time not to say the truth. At such times, you do what? Keep quiet. If you can't say the truth, don't lie. Because you can't lie, you do what? Be quiet. Silence, they say, is golden. The Bible says it that even the fool look like he is not a fool when he is quiet. In other words, as a magnetic leader, we also need to be strategic in our communication. You don't just talk because you have your vocal cords working. You don't just talk because you have the ground to talk. Number 3, he's selfless. A magnetic leader is selfless. The common injunction is to love your neighbor as yourself, right? Am I correct? Love your neighbor as yourself. But a magnetic leader knows when more than himself. I told you about my husband. When he takes his salary, it is his character. I saw that on his phone. Over the night, he will wake up in the middle of the night and begin to send money. This person, that person, this person, that person, this person, that person, this person, that person. And I tell you, for more than 5 years in the house, the monthly stipend I received as the wife of the house did not increase. I will complain. I have to augment with my own resources. The day I complained and I said, why will you put somebody else above your family? I told you what he said. He said, those people do not have somebody, but you, my family, you have me. When the worst come to worst, I am here. I will stand for you. But for them, when the worst come to the worst, they don't have somebody to stand for them. That's why I'm standing for them. And I tell you, in the last couple of months since he has passed, I've seen people who have stood up selflessly for me and my children. In other words, as a true leader, what you are doing is not for nothing. It will come back. Whatever goes around, comes around. The Bible says that whatever you sow, you will reap it. He is selfless. He puts the gains of his followers first before his own. That is not popular today. That is not popular today. Most times, even our leaders, somebody will say that it's every 4 years. They come and spend, give us bags of rice, give us 5,000, 6,000, and we go to the polls and we vote them in, and they get in there and they forget us. It's not the hallmark of a true leader. That's why my heart bleeds when I see young people run after such people and are shouting, my leader, my leader, my leader, you are doing well. My leader, you are doing well. And then if I talk, they will say, if you can't beat them, you join them. For me, if you can't beat them, you observe, you study, and see how you can improve or harness whatever resources that can come to make things better, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. They are selfless. And I note here that being selfless is a two-way thing. As a leader, I can't be, I won't, I can't be putting in all the best I can to make you better, and you are not doing what you need to do on your own part. That individual that is supposed to read and come up with A's and come up with good grades in the university or in the secondary school is not doing, is not reading. Yet the leader is trying to pay his school fees all the time. I was in conversation with a friend in the US, and I realized that many universities in the US have grants they give students. And they tell you, you must maintain a particular grade to maintain your grant. That grant, you need it to pay your school fees because those school fees are very expensive. And then they tell you, you must have something like, let me put it in simple terms, you must always have 4/5. The day you drop to 3.5/5, you don't get that grant. Leadership, magnetic leadership, being selfless is a two-way thing. The leader must also see you as the follower doing something within your ability. He's providing the money. He expects you to show interest. I heard the story of a man whose relative is rich. Then he went to the relative and said, "Ah, I need this, I need that, I need that, I need that." And the relative said, "Okay, take this bike. You are going back to the village. Take this bike. Use it to run, you know, errands in the village. Use it to carry people from one point to another and make a living for yourself." After about 7 months or thereabout, he sold the bike. He said he used to fall down on the road with the bike and he gets injured every day. And then he sold the bike. And then came back again and said, "My relative, you're a rich man. Come and empower me again." And the relative said, "I have money, but I don't have money I will waste. This little I have committed in your hands, you have not used it well." As a follower, when you are privileged to find a selfless leader, you must also play your part and be serious. You must also play your part and be serious. Magnetic leaders are charismatic. Charismatic leaders are artists. That's how somebody described them. They inspire you. You want to do it. You want to do what they are doing. The way they are doing it is making it so interesting that you are willing to join them to do what you are doing. They are enthusiastic and they create that enthusiasm in you. That means that as a leader, you must also believe in what you are doing. It means that as a leader, that thing you are doing, that goal you are pursuing, you must pursue it with the vigor it needs. Because it is that vigor, it is that strength with which you are pursuing it that your followers will see and will want to follow you in it. Is that vigor, is that strength with which you are pursuing your goals and their goals. In fact, sometimes our followers need us to believe in them in order to be able to believe in themselves. I don't know if that statement is clear. You see that little child who wants to jump from a moderate height that he can jump from. And his daddy says, "Go ahead, you can do this. Go ahead, you can do this." Or he has a ball, he wants to throw it into the into the basket. And he says, "Ah, this basket is too high. The leader is that person that will tell you that, yes, it is high, I know, but you can do it. That's the charisma that that leader carries to convince you that you can pursue and achieve your goals. Charismatic leaders are captivating in their mannerisms. When they do what they do, they are able to inspire you to do it. And I tell you, it doesn't just come easily. It comes with a lot of practice. It comes with a lot of consistency. Wow, this word is not on my list, but please write it down. Consistency. A magnetic leader is what? Consistent. Of course, you can be tired of what you are doing, but when you are tired, the Bible said about David, he said, and David encouraged himself. When you are tired and you feel like you are going to abandon, you are going to neglect, and in fact, you have abandoned and you have neglected, you come back to that point where you pick up again and continue. Consistency. Please write that somewhere very close. Is a very, 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 very important part of leadership. A charismatic leader, a magnetic leader leads from the front. He's not seated and he's telling them, okay, go, I'm behind you. No, he's saying, let's go. He leads from the front of the journey. Number 5, the magnetic leader is transparent. The magnetic leader is transparent. Honesty and transparency go hand in hand. When you say yes, it is yes. When you say I have it, it is I have it. When you say I don't have it, it is I don't have it. When you say I will back you up, it is I will back you up. When you say I will stand by you, it is I will stand by you. Being honest. When you are honest as a leader, it makes it easy for us, for that leader to be transparent. One other value that keeps us transparent is integrity. In simple terms, somebody defined integrity as having your yes being yes. All things being equal, when I say yes, it is yes. Unfortunately, that also is no longer common in our day today. In fact, one of my law teachers in those days when I was studying law once told me that when they ask you a question, don't answer with a yes or no. And then we said, so what do we do? Said you tell them, it depends. That's why they actually call lawyers liars. There was a time in my life I was studying to become a lawyer. I stopped that. So he was training us as a lawyer and he was telling us that don't answer yes or no. Tell them it what? Depends. And I realized that actually that's what makes lawyers liars. That's why they call lawyers liars. Integrity, honesty, integrity. They help us to become transparent. And the truth about transparency is that it gives you credibility. It gives you credibility. It gives you credibility. As leaders, we have to develop a culture where people aren't afraid to be honest and real. we have to develop the ability, a culture to raise people to be honest and real. The next time you are tempted, the next time you are in a situation where you are tempted to sugarcoat a thing, take a pause. Where you are tempted to sugarcoat, exaggerate, or do something wrong, take a pause. Number 6, vision. A magnetic leader has vision. There's somewhere he's going. He's going somewhere and he's taking people along. And lastly, the magnetic leader is resilient. He is resilient. He's not ready to give up. It is tough. It is difficult, but he's not giving up. He might retreat to re strategize, to restructure, to refire, but he is not giving up. I'll just jump to my last 2 slides because, okay, the slides before then is how to become a magnetic leader. I'll just say quickly that you become a magnetic leader by doing these things we have talked about. And I must tell you, it is not easy, but we need to do them. It's a process, like I've been saying, that we must go through. And when we go through when we go through that process, we come out refined every day. A take home for us. Please, this is important. A take home for us. All we have said here today will remain a waste of time and resources if we are not disciplined. Unfortunately, that is not common again. A lot of people are not disciplined. Discipline. When you say that you will come and visit your brother, make sure you go. If you are not able to go, tell him beforehand that, please, situations are making me change my mind. When you promise to do something, you keep to it. Discipline. Discipline. Make up your mind to do what you have said you will do. Pursue it and do that which you have promised to do. It's important. There are some things that you can do and it's not bad. It's not sinful. But it's also not useful. It's also not useful. So it's very important that we are disciplined as a leader. Big, like I have said always, that becoming a magnetic leader is a process that must be followed. The process cannot be skipped. We have to follow through. And following the process takes discipline. And lastly, my very last slide, you want to be a magnetic leader, you must have faith, you must be honest, and you must be disciplined. Thank you very much.
Some people are